All right, we're live.
Hey, everybody. Happy Saturday night.
Happy Saturday. Happy Easter. It's Easter weekend.
It is.
So,
Happy Easter.
we had
Yeah.
Good Friday yesterday.
That's what we should have done.
What?
Some bourbon that will go with Easter eggs.
Whatever. But we could have taken like hollow chocolate Easter candy, cut the ears off the rabbit, and just filled it up with bourbon.
That'd be great, wouldn't it?
That probably would be good.
Chocolate bourbon.
Yeah. So anyway,
Something to try
Yep.
for the one person, two people that are out there.
so hint,
evening.
hint. If you're looking for a gift to send me, just chop the ears off of a chocolate bunny, fill it full of bourbon, get the ears warm, and stick it back on there and seal it back off, and then you can ship it to me. All right, just let me know it's full. All right, hidden numismatist, Funky Uncle John, how's it going tonight? We do have the after party scheduled.
Yes, we do.
And we can start it sooner, but I have it scheduled for 7:15. But we will start it right after we're finished up here. But tonight we're going to be talking about local bourbons.
Yeah.
And we live in North Carolina, and we have one from Charlotte and one from right down the road from us.
Not
and
too
I have
far away, yeah.
not made contact with them yet, but I will. And I am reaching out to a whole bunch of places right now to see what feedback I can get. I'm just going and I'm sending emails, and I'm saying, hey, would y'all be amenable to, yada, yada, yada. So the first one we have here is Doc Porter's. Doc Porter's is out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Craft Spirits, batch number 15. I can tell you I've tried this before. It's 45% 90 proof. It drinks a little bitter because I do believe, I don't know this for sure, but I have a sneaky suspicion that they pressure age. So, because it brings out those tannins in the wood. Now, that's going to be in the non-Bourbon Bounty logo glass. I already poured them. And then the other one is Old Nick Williams, ONW. And this is Old Nick Williams straight bourbon whiskey. Now, this is a 2-year age on this. They just started getting the distillery going again. It is a true distillery. It is not an NDP, non-distilling producer. I mean, they distill right down the road from us. They do. They shut down for COVID and all, but they do distillery tours and all that. Now that they've lifted the mandates and all here, they're going to open back up again. This is 46, which is 92 proof, right? So just a slightly higher proof, but right in the same ballpark. Now, the story behind Old Nick Williams, this is distilled and bottled by the Old Nick Williams Company Incorporated, Louisville, North Carolina, which is, not far from us. It's under 30 minutes. Aged a minimum of 2 years. That's the only age statement they put on these bottles. Now, I know that they're planning, because I did talk to them a little bit before COVID and all. They are planning on coming out with 4-year and more aging on these, but they were just trying to get the distillery going again with their old mash bill and get things going again. So, but I can tell you, I do enjoy, because I've reviewed both of these, tried them both, of course, before, but you have not.
I have not.
So I'm not going to give you too much on these, but let's try the Doc Porter's first.
Okay. So what's the lockbox be right there? Is that just a...
It says, that's the 200-year-old family recipe that they're supposed to be bringing back, right?
in lockbox.
So, all right, swirl this just a little bit. I did pour them about 10 minutes ago, so they have been airing out. So this is the Doc Porter. It's going to have a pretty strong nose to it. Now, on the nose, I'm getting some oak, but it'll fool you because if my suspicion is correct and they are pressure aging this, you're going to get that oak on the nose, but when you taste it, it may not be as pleasing as you expect it to be. All right. Right off the bat, you get that dry. This is not a sweet bourbon.
It's not.
It's really dry.
Kind of bitter.
And you get that bitter, right? That comes from, they'll put it in a barrel, but then they dump it into something else and they throw wood. Like the common thing is they'll cut circles out of wood and drill holes in those circles to make like a honeycomb looking thing. And they throw a bunch of that down in there because it's a lot more surface area to the wood. And then they'll pressurize it and it draws out, and they'll char those little things. You know, they'll toast them or whatever and throw them in there. But it pulls out the what I call wood tannins. Yeah, you know, and it's pulling out more than the wood sugars, and that's where you run into these got that bitterness to it, you know.
Yeah, I can honestly say this is my least favorite bourbon so far. It gives you a weird aftertaste.
That's why I didn't pour much. I told you that's about all you're going to want of that. There's some people out there now. I don't know if it's hometown pride or whatever, but they swear by Doc Porters.
Wow.
And so to each their own, and we don't.
That's right. We don't judge.
I don't judge
Uh-uh.
but to me, this is not a good flavor profile for a bourbon.
It gives you a weird aftertaste.
Yeah, it does. It's not as bad as the Trader Joe crap. It's not. I can pour you some if you want. But I mean, it's on the borderline of I don't care to drink it. You know, it's now the Old Nick is a different story, and let's take another sip of this, and then we'll try the other one. All right,
I can't
now
figure out what that aftertaste is.
it's that bitter wood. It's like chewing on a piece of oak. You know, when you like, you know, you're just chewing on it and you're getting the bitter out of the wood.
Something I love to do.
Not that I've done that. So the reason I swirl before I drink it, one is to get some air into it. And the longer you let a bourbon sit out and the more you let it air out a little bit, the more notes come up in it. And the other reason is I swirl it all up around the edge so I can watch the lines come down, and that's what we call the legs. And I can see the oils as they cling to the glass and run back down. And I can judge on how thick those trails are, which these are guitar string thin, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't a super oily bourbon, but it does, like the other one has no legs. It has hardly any legs at all. It doesn't cling to the glass. Now this one actually does, and it does make those trails. And you can tell by how fast or slow they're moving and how thick they are. And the thicker, slower moving trails coming down means there's a lot more oils in this bourbon. And the oils come out of the grain, come out of the wood, you know, all of that type of stuff. And you're going to get a better tongue coating, and it's going to flood the palate. It's like putting a drop of oil on your tongue and it spreads everywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with bourbon. Hey, what's up, 21090? Yeah, now this is a good profile bourbon. It's just young. I'm assuming that's Todd. Todd, we are sipping on North Carolina bourbons. We are trying two different ones. One is Doc Porter's out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Not the best bourbon in the world. And the other one is Old Nick Williams, which they're bringing back supposedly a 200-year-old recipe, and they're but this is a minimum 2-year age on this, so this is a straight bourbon, and the other one's just a bourbon. Hey, what's up, Chetio? So yeah, that's what we're sipping on, and I will tell you, the Old Nick Williams, I had a decanter. Now I had a shelf catastrophe way back several years ago. There were glass shelves over there, and I was traveling for work, and my wife calls me, and I'm at the Charlotte airport, and she said, "Your bourbon's all over the floor." So I had to replace hundreds of dollars worth of bourbon, and my crystal decanter was gone. I mean, everything was gone. And luckily I didn't have any super duper bourbons up there. I had stuff I can't get here, but like I had a Willet pot still, and I had the Weller Special Reserve, the green label, you know, stuff like that, which is not expensive or hard to get. It's just, everything on my shelf was around $50, put it that way. And I had probably $300 and $400 worth of bourbon.
Wow.
Over there. And it all went to the Concrete Gods. And because this
Well, I bet you they were
floor,
happy.
yeah, before we put this hardwood in, this floor, when we bought the house, this was like a storage room for them. And it was like a painted concrete floor. And it had like the little speckles in it, like the grocery store floors and all
Yeah,
that, you know.
yeah.
And he had a bunch of, the guy that lived here collected Coca-Cola memorabilia. And he had a
Wow.
whole bar over there, like he got from a store, like a soda fountain store that was closing down. And he had gotten all that, and he had crates and crates of like Coca-Cola bottles from like all the eras and everything. And when we were walking through the house, he's like, now none of this stays. And I'm like, good, because it was full in here.
Thank you, sir.
And the only thing left from there is that lower cabinet. I know y'all can't see it, but that
It's over there. Take the word for it.
with that
Yeah.
little chair set, or where my disc golf bag is, the cart, that's like a seating thing. And there's like this flip door on there, but when you close it, there's a hole there. But that was a ice cream machine,
Oh, wow.
like the one you put the cup under and do it up and down, you know, a little spinner. And so he had a full soda fountain set up over here.
That's pretty cool.
So anyway, back to the bourbon. But I used to pour this. I'd get a bottle of it. It's about costs us about maybe under $35, I think, for that bottle. And it's a good daily sipper. I mean, this is not a bad bourbon. It's just young. You can tell by tasting it, there's some really balanced notes and they're really good. They're just minimal right now. And if they let this bourbon go about 6 years, that's when I would want to start tasting it, you know, in a cooler environment and let it continue to age, because this is drawing sugars out really, really well. It's just, it needs to keep going. All right. What's up, Shark?
Hey, Shark.
That's a
This
good
is
bourbon.
good.
That is a really good bourbon, but
It might just be so good because it follows this.
Well, that's one part of it. And that's why I wanted you to try Doc Porter's first, because after this, you go back to Doc Porter's, which we will. It's a slap in the face. It really is. And if you've tried things like, I did a Scotch tasting one time, and we had a Jura Scotch, which is sort of in between. It's almost an Islay Scotch from that region, but it's not. But it's its own. It's the Isle of Jura, and they do peat it, but only very, very lightly. So you get that peated smokiness to it, but you don't taste it at first. So you taste it, and then you go and taste the Dalmore, which is a Highland. And it has no peat at all. And then go back and taste the Jura again. Wham! That smoke hits you then. The bitter, I hate to tell you, it's going to be like taking cough syrup after this, but we're going to go back and try it again. And
right.
you're going to
Let
taste
me finish the good stuff first.
Yeah. Well, save yourself a little of it now, because you're going to want to go back to this. Now, I'm going to take my medicine. And I don't know if y'all can see this or not, but you see all those little spots around? That's the only thing clinging to this glass. And when I swirl it, it goes immediately. There's no trails running down, and it immediately just breaks apart and goes into little dots of moisture. That's indicative of them pressure aging that. When I swirl this one and bring it down, look how clean that looks. And then you can start, I don't know if you can see them, but boy, they're there. You can see the little trails running down, the little streaks. And if I move it back and forth, you can see where the light, you can see those lines coming down. This actually has oils in it. This one does not. So also the edge on these, look at how flat this one looks, and look at how crisp and sharp this looks in the glass.
Yeah.
That looks like one color flat noted, and this has depth to it. But it's young, but it does have depth to it. All right, let me take my medicine.
Well,
yeah. Yuck. All right.
one more.
Yeah. I mean, it's not
Is
like,
it going to get better after a while?
no,
It will, won't it?
No,
The drunker you get, it doesn't get better.
no,
No?
not that one. I mean, you may not, you may not taste it as much later.
Not that I'm planning on getting drunk, but
No, we do have some beer though for the after party.
yes.
But yeah, going back to the Old Nick, it's even more appreciable after that Doc Porter. And I hate to say anything bad. I mean, they're a local distillery, and they do distill. They distill and bottle. And like I said, there's some people that swear by them. It's just not my taste.
That is much better.
Yeah. And this is more indicative of what could be a really good bourbon. And I won't call this a really good, I'll call this a really, really good base bourbon. It's a really balanced base bourbon.
For beginners?
But, well, for their offering, right? I would say don't ever bottle that at 80 proof. Keep it above 90 because this is so gentle that an 80 would taste like iced tea, So keep it above 90. And then offer me some more mature, some barrel proofs and things like that later on. But I can honestly tell you that has the makings, that has the foundation of that could be a really, really good bourbon. So there you have it. And it could be I don't know, and it could be the grains they use in the Doc Porters, or they may overchar their barrel or something. But I have a sneaky suspicion that look how dark it is, right? And they put no age statement on it, but just the color on the Doc Porter is way darker than the Old Nick.
Mm-hmm.
That also makes me think they pressure age it, because you'll draw out that color from that wood when you do that. But you're also drawing out nasties.
Yeah, here's a.
All right, Fulton. Hey, you'll save your big surprise for the after party. We'll start it up when we're done with this part of the show, and then we'll throw the link out in the after party. I already have it scheduled, so we'll get there in just a little bit. Now, there are other bourbons in North Carolina, but some of them are NDPs, so they're non-distilling producers. So they're getting, and not all of it is MGP juice. Not all of it. There's some the NDPs that make deals with other distilleries, to say, can you produce? And one of them's the Heaven's Door.
Oh, yeah.
They go to, see, that's the difference in the Bob Dylan bourbon from like the Bradshaw bourbon, Terry Bradshaw. That's probably just MGP juice, right? That they minimally do something with. Now, if you take MGP juice and you really do something that sets you apart, that's where you get Smoke Wagon. That's where you get other ones, some of the better. And if somebody looks on my shelf and says, oh, 6 of those bottles back there are the same thing. No, they're not. They're not. Just because they procured them from MGP, they have several different mash bills that they offer. You can buy different mash bills and blend them together. You can use your own barrels. You don't have to, you can get White Dog from MGP and they'll just ship you the clear, and you can do your own toasting, your own barrels, your own everything.
You can get very creative.
Yeah. And you can do finished stuff, and you can do all, there's so many different things and so many different climates depending on how you age it. So if I ordered bourbon from MGP and I said, look, I want 2-year-old bourbon in the barrel. I want to buy 2-year-old barrels of this mash bill. And then I take those barrels and I put them in a different environment. And of course, I get to taste out of the barrels and say, yeah, I want, these are the barrels I want. I can age those things for 7.5 more years if I wanted to. I could do anything I wanted if I could sit on it and not make money for that long. But that's where a lot of people run into trouble is they, I don't knock them.
Yeah.
You know,
you got to make money somehow.
yeah, but
Can't
I mean,
starve to death while you're waiting.
yeah, if you just pulled out, you know, a huge business loan and, you know, you're trying to get going, I mean, pressure aging is a way to get some juice
That's
on the
right,
shelf,
yeah.
but, you know,
We don't judge.
nope.
But man,
But bourbon is such a long process to figure out whether you did it right or not.
this has a good smell to it.
Oh, the Doc Porters?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that oaky
until you
smell.
taste it.
Right, it's the oaky smell. And I love the oaky nose for sure.
It smells really good
But when you
until it hits
taste
the palate,
yeah.
and then it goes straight downhill.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, yikes.
Well, one thing is there's actually oils coming out in the Old Nick, and it spreads over the tongue, and you do get some of that oak, but it's a tiny bit. It's not sweet, but it's sweeter than dry, you know.
Right.
But it's not overly sweet. But you do get all that depth of notes across the tongue, and Doc Porter just goes straight down the center. You can force it around, but you don't want to because it, you know, tastes like a diaper.
Is that what I was tasting out here?
Not sure.
My grandmother's perfume.
Mm.
A few other little.
Oh, I will say I did get my stickers in. Hey, Newfoundlander Ingalls family, I got my bumper stickers in. So, I have one on my car. And I'm trying to get it where it doesn't glare in these studio lights. But these are nice. These are from Sticker Mule, and they're rubbery feeling. I mean, they're really good. I like them. I only ordered a small set of them, but I ordered some business cards too. They'll be here in about a week. And the reason I ordered a business card is because when I go to different liquor stores, I don't expect them to remember Bourbon Bounty. You know,
Now they will.
now I can give them a card, and it has my YouTube channel link. It has, you know, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, but it has my email across the bottom. The Bourbon
No
Bounty
phone number?
Nope. Bourbon Bounty
Can I
2019.
call at 4:00 in the morning?
No,
Hey, we
no.
got this great bourbon in.
No, just
Can you
email
come
me.
down right now?
Just email me. If we get tight, I'll give you my phone number. We're gonna have to be tight first, you know. I really like that Old Nick Williams, though. That is, I mean, again, it's young.
I do too. Yeah, it was
But-
very good.
It is really good, and it has a lot of potential to be a lot better. But yeah, and I'm slow rolling right now my membership thing for my channel. I'm not offering memberships right now. I have it approved. Like I have my membership set up. I have my badges loaded. I have everything approved by YouTube because when you submit, they have to approve your perks and all that stuff that you're going to give away. All of that's been approved. I can't change anything. I can tell you it's going to be an 80 proof club, a bottled and bond club, and then an allocated elite club. There are going to be the 3 membership tiers. The reason I haven't released it all yet is because I am emailing around 100 places right now. Right. I'm of course I have a ledger and I'm writing down the date and time I send messages so I don't, you know, double send someone a message. I don't want to look hungry, you know, and I don't want to bug people. I want to give them a chance to respond. But I've got all these emails going out and I'm wanting to get some sort of at least a gentleman's agreement, whatever commitment to do a private live. And so with the highest tier membership, one, you get everything I have to offer. You get a snifter, you get a hat, you get all 3 nosing kits, you get,
Wow.
you know, overtime of paid membership. So many months of paid membership. After 6 months of paid, you get a glass. After the next 6 months, you get a hat. After the next 6 months, you get nosing kit A. The next 6 months, you get nosing kit B. The next 6 months, you get nosing kit, you know, it's A, B, and C.
I'd say that's fair.
Yeah. But that's not just it. all along the way,
Oh, I forgot not to drink that. Oh,
I am going to be offering private lives to the allocated elite members where you can either come up on panel or you can stay in the chat, but it will be only streaming to those members. And that way it will be a more intimate setting where I'm going to have folks who are owners of the NDPs. I'm going to try to get who I can from bigger distilleries. I'm going to have guys who do barrel picks for stores come on and talk about the process of them, how they go and select barrels for the store. I'm going to try to get someone from the different bourbon societies to come on. I'm going to have other bigger YouTubers come on, but I'm trying to get these commitments first. And that way we have this little closed setting. And then what will happen is that'll be live and interactive for the elite club members. But then a few days later, a week later or whatever, I'll release the playback to the middle tier and then a little bit later to the lower tier, and it'll still be members only, but you'll see it after the fact type thing. And what it is, the way I've set it up is not every membership tier is right for everybody. If you're not that into bourbon, whatever, but if you're really into bourbon and you really want to kick it off, I mean, you don't have to wait to try to win a quarterly drawing. You're going to get everything with your membership over time. And you're going to get this exclusive access to these these private events. The other thing I'm going to host for the Elite Club is private tastings. And I will send sample pours of things out to everybody that's an elite member. And then we will jump on and do a private stream.
That's a cool idea.
And we will have a private tasting.
Wow, that is
Right.
a good idea.
So
New Jersey Garden Services, how you doing?
NJ, yeah. All right. Welcome. So, I'm just kind of blathering on a little bit about my membership tiers, but like I said, all of that's already been approved, the perks and all. And I'm just trying to schedule at least, or try to get some commitment from at least a handful.
That's the right thing to do.
Before I extend the membership. That way I can say, hey, I have like 3 elite members. So do you want to come speak, or can you join me for this private live? And it's safer for those companies when they join a private live because it's not going to be a big public thing. So if it goes off the rails and it makes them look bad, it's, there's a handful of people,
How would you ever do that?
I wouldn't let it do that. But,
no way.
if somebody come on and go, was on panel as an elite member and go, Buffalo Trace sucks ass, whatever.
How did that go again?
I can drop them and be like, I'll give you your monthly membership back. Here you go. but at least it's not a public thing, and that way they can dip their toe in the water with me because they don't know me, but I'm just trying to build a rapport.
They should. Yeah.
I'm just trying to build it. And it's just hustle.
If you're drinking bourbon, you should know him.
Well, I mean, there's other.
There are, and
folks
I've
out
watched
there.
a few others, and some of them are okay, but
I'm trying to give people tangible things, Now, with the weekly giveaway show and the quarterly drawing, I can't afford to do much more than that, All these people join and I pick, one lucky winner on a wheel, and I can afford to send all that stuff too, right? But I can't send to everybody, so I have to come up with a way. But if people are paying a monthly membership fee, over time I'm going to make enough money. I can ship all this stuff out, So that's the way that goes. I did look into, hey, what's up, Independent Joe? I saw your channel today earlier. I was looking at something on there. I forgot what it was now. But anyway, I looked at a bunch of stuff earlier. I was sitting in my recliner vegging. But yeah, you're one of the ones, Independent Joe, that comes up on my feed all the time, because I watch some stuff here and there. I'll try to start interacting more on your videos. I
Independent
know.
Joe, that's a good name.
Oh, it is, and he's got a
Definitely.
great logo, and he's over 500 subs now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he's on his way up.
Well, 501 tonight. Okay.
Oh, he's over 500. I think he had like 505 or something. But hey,
All right, 506.
yeah,
whatever.
let's get him on up there. Let's get him on up there.
You're getting one more tonight.
Now, but he's got a great logo. I love his logo. I mean, and it's important to have a good logo for brand recognition and all. But the way he does that Independent Joe, and it's got the way the logo looks, I love it. I think it's great.
Cool.
But yeah, we'll have to do a collab or something sometime. That'd be fun. I need to do more of those. It's just I go live on Thursday for the giveaway show, and then we do this show. And if I'm doing private lives for like elite club members or whatever, I'm gonna have to, And one thing I may have to do every once in a while is like not do a Saturday giveaway show.
A Thursday giveaway.
I mean a Saturday sip along. I may have to forego that.
I'm getting kicked out.
No.
I'm losing my job.
Well, actually, you're going to be an honorary. You're going to be an honorary elite club member.
I'm just kidding.
But yeah, and I just want to get that stuff moving. And you live right there, so if you get stuff from me, I don't have to ship it to you.
Right. Yeah.
I can freaking hand it to you. What's up, Thomas McCarthy? How's it going? Tonight, if y'all are just joining, we're sipping on North Carolina bourbons. One is good, one is not. The Old Nick Williams is a fine base bourbon. And it's got the heels to be a good bourbon down the road. Right now, it's 2 years old, maybe just over 2 years. It just says aged minimum 2 years. They just started it back up not too many years ago. They should be getting into the 4 years now. They've had enough time.
Yeah, COVID did.
Yeah,
COVID killed everybody. So
well, and really, the only thing it killed on them was because a lot of people were still going to ABC store and buying bourbon. And I know a lot of local people that like Old Nick Williams because they're right down the road, and it's easy to get there. It's all over the shelves here. Now, I will say this: if you go looking for it, don't look in the regular bourbon section. Look in the North Carolina bourbon or the North Carolina section, which is not just bourbons because there's rye, there's bourbons, there's there's vodkas and stuff that are made, by these distilleries and all. Look in the North Carolina section of the ABC.
All right, Nick, I think I'm going to do that. America's most famous forgotten distillery.
Yeah. So it may have been famous in the 1800s. Yeah.
Hopefully it gets famous again when people start remembering.
Mm-hmm. Supposedly the story, and of course all distilleries have hype stories, right? There's the Four Roses about the love story. There's the Keys of the, freaking Blade and Bow. There's, somebody did something, and or we have original Pappy's recipe, and we do this with it. There's all these hype stories out there, but supposedly the family found an old lockbox. That's why it says lockbox. And they had someone like a professional come in and open the damn thing because it was all, just sealed. And they found this recipe. And they're like, let's kick her back off. The original old recipe that was so famous back when no one ever heard of it. So I don't know.
When everybody forgot it.
No, but I am saying, though, regardless, and I don't fall for the hype stories. I always take them with a grain of salt, because a lot of times when you really look it up, they'll be, well, some people believe this and some people believe that, but it's, historians really think it probably is this, but the distillery is going to latch on to the iffy story that makes them look to flourish the best, and boom, they're going to build that one out there.
But if it's true, you could be drinking bourbon that some guy in Texas walked up to a bar and said, "Give me a bourbon, make it a double, some cowboy." You know?
Or in the foothills of North Carolina.
Well, I mean, there were
Yeah.
cowboys here, weren't there?
Yeah, there was. Well, the people were all over the United States.
All right,
yeah.
so
A lot of tobacco was grown around this area.
that's what brought people here.
They shipped out a lot. I mean, not 5 miles up the road is Tobaccoville.
Yeah, I know.
You know, I mean, everything in Winston-Salem is called Camel City because of Camel cigarettes. You know, we live close to, and Renolda is a really big, long road that runs through Winston-Salem, but we live off of Renolda, which is Reynolds family. Smith Reynolds, that's
wow.
the cigarettes, right? So Renolda Village down there,
I think somebody told me that.
and that big mansion over there was the Reynolds house. And now they do tours of it and all that. And it's just a freaking, I don't know how many bedroom mansion, you know. But they made a hell of a lot of money off that tobacco. Old backy. That's what my uncle used to call it. He said,
Tobacco?
well, I was 14, 15, you know, and I think it was my dad's uncle actually, but we could buy it back then. There was no age on it. You know, we could go into the store at 10 years old and buy a pack of cigarettes, you know, and he'd slip us back then it was like a quarter or a nickel or whatever it was, you know, go down there and get me a plug of that backy. And
Yeah,
here's an extra couple of pennies. Get you some of that candy down there.
Yeah, I went to that big house down there in Renolda Village.
Yeah.
I pulled up in it, and you know, I had a friend in California. His name was Clyde, and he could get us. He could talk his way into anywhere. Doesn't matter where. I mean, we got free seats at baseball games, you know, bars, everything. Anyway, so I tried to talk my way into that big house. Nope, not a chance.
Well, all you had to do was pay an entry fee.
Well, they have no. I must have been in the wrong house.
That big mansion down there on the right.
Yeah.
That you can go online and book a tour.
Oh, maybe it was COVID thing.
Maybe, but yeah, you can go online. You
I
can book a
didn't see
tour, and they'll walk you through and tell you all about the Renolda or the Reynolds family and all that.
I don't want to do that. I want to go through on my own, check things out. Anyway,
Yeah,
we're off the subject. Subject now is bourbon,
that's right.
and this one
Is
made in North Carolina.
right down the road from where we live.
Very good.
Very good. The other one, also made in North Carolina, about an hour and a half from where we live. That's all we're going to say about that.
Yep, that's all it is.
If you don't have something nice to say.
Don't yeah, right?
But I'm going to finish this Old Nick. And before, I was sipping on this a few times a week. And when I had that decanter and all, I would come out here after work. And that was when I was driving back and forth to work. I live 5 minutes from the office, but now I work right over there. But I'd come home and I'd choo-choo and pour me a little snifter of it. And, you know, change into my T-shirt or whatever, baseball cap, and, you know, because I had to I had to wear my Dockers and tuck my shirt in and all that, you know. Had to be presentable to go to the office.
Yeah, I have to admit, or I have to tell you, that Heaven's Door last night was really good.
Oh yeah, no, that was the double barrel whiskey.
Woo-wee.
It's not bourbon, and they don't claim it to be,
But it's
they have a bourbon. Now, that was one thing I was starting to talk about earlier about the Bob Dylan thing. I know that is nasty, man.
I keep picking it up.
But they don't procure. They procure their bourbon, but they work with master distillers. Like they will approach a master distiller and say, "Here's what we're thinking. Here, what can you do?" And all that, and then they'll produce barrels just for them in their distillery, and do a run for them, and then they'll go back to their run, of bourbon. And then they take those barrels and they control everything. They're like, oh, this is the char, this is the whatever we want. And then they age them and blend them. And you can do like even blending barrels in a batch. I've seen them where I was talking to a blender one time, and he said, well, it's up to the master distiller. If they want to stack barrels, and of course, the higher you get in the warehouse, the warmer it gets. And they'll take a whole column of barrels from top to bottom. It's cooler down here, warmer up there. And they will blend those stack of barrels, each like column. They will make a different batch because they want the warmer ones are going to age harsher,
Right.
And the cooler ones are going to,
So why don't they keep it cool all year round?
Do you want to pay their AC bill?
Well, I don't know. It depends on how much they get for their bourbon if it's cooler.
Well, probably a lot.
And
But-
it's probably the AC bill is probably a lot too. Anyway,
Yeah.
that was very good last night.
Yep.
Heaven's Door. We had a couple cigars, and it was amazing. You could taste the cigar and the bourbon.
Yeah, that's one thing I was going to bring up. It's Chillin' Moose cigars. Okay,
Chillin'
right now.
Moose, yeah. Oh,
it's
don't
a-
bring it up yet. We haven't got ours yet.
Well, they're not here.
Oh,
you
some of them might be.
But okay, so if you like a cigar every once in a while, Chillin' Moose, I took a chance on it.
It was good.
$2 a cigar. It's a Nicaraguan tobacco in it with a U.S. wrapper on it, broadleaf. They burned really evenly. They were very just enough complexity in it to keep you interested, and just a good flavor to the cigar. I'm going to go back and buy more of them now that I know. I took a chance and bought 2, and I was like, yeah, if they suck, they're $2 a piece, right? But man, they're good. And
They are good.
and after we were trying them, that's when I looked up the reviews and I found out, oh crap, people are really talking high of these. And somebody said, if you want them, go get them now because they're not going to stay this price. That's an introductory type thing. But yeah, I just stumbled on it. I got lucky on that one.
Yeah, that was a good job. And like I said, the bourbon and the cigar, you could taste both tastes.
Oh yeah,
Which
but
one?
it wasn't bourbon; it was whiskey,
Whiskey,
Yeah.
right? Sorry, not bourbon.
American whiskey. So they didn't have to follow the corn content and all of that. So there's something off about the whiskey that caused it to not be able to be called a bourbon. Maybe it was probably aged in oak, which, unused oak. It probably had a char in it. Of course it did. That's why you got the sweetness out of it, right?
Probably used.
But it may not have been 51 or more % corn. It may have been, and it's a double barrel. So they aged it for so many years in one barrel and then a whole other year in a different barrel. Heavier char. Like think of Elijah Craig toasted oak, your toasted barrel, and the Woodford Reserve double oaked. That's just they
Is
call
there
it.
such thing as a triple barrel?
I guess if you aged it, if
Three
you
different.
if you aged it for 2 years, you can call it a straight bourbon. Now that's bourbon. That's a whiskey. So if I were going to do like a double barrel or triple barrel or whatever, I don't think triple barrel would do much to it, right? But if I aged it at a number 4 char for 2 years, and then put it in a number 6 char for another year, now I've got a 3-year-old bourbon. And if that second barrel is still an unused, just charred oak barrel, it doesn't have to be. I mean, but honestly, some of the really, really good bourbons they're aged to maturity, which is 2 years, to call it a straight bourbon. And then they're putting like wine barrels and different things like that. That's finished bourbons. So, and I know Woodford Reserve likes to say it's finished in a second barrel, but really it's just continuing to age in a different char. It's, anyway.
That's a wine, right?
What?
Don't they age them in wine barrels?
No, you can put them in port wine barrels or cab barrels, but you can also age them. What I would like to do is get, if I could afford it, I don't want to afford it. I would have to pull out a second mortgage to afford it. But, and I'm not going to do that because my wife would skin me in my sleep. But I would love to get my hands on a barrel of, even if it's like just MGP, right? But get like one of their rye, like the slightly higher rye mash bill from MGP, and age it in a cool environment for say 4 years, and have a true, what I call a true straight bourbon. Then get a used, and then like move the and sell that barrel then to say Goose Island or something. I wish somebody would do that. I wish the distillery that like Old Forester or whatever that has barrels that go to Goose Island, buy them back after they do their beer, and then do finished bourbon in that barrel. That's what I want. I want to see that happen. And Budweiser now owns Goose Island, so they've got a lot of money power going on.
Definitely, yeah. They got a lot of backing power.
So they can have warehouses and stuff, but I would love like an Old Forester, like their bottled and bond, the 1897, and then use that barrel to do Goose Island, and then get it back and then finish bourbon in it for like a year or maybe even just 6 months. It may, I don't know. I'd have to be tasting it along the way, to see when it hits its peak. But man, can you imagine getting those cocoa undertones and stuff in that bourbon?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. I really want to see
Same
that.
undertone as a chocolate bunny, huh?
Well, no, but I mean, because the Goose Islands have a lot of coffee, cocoa, that stout, those stouts. But man, you can get some of that sweet and vanilla from the wood, from the bourbon barrel. And man, to go then after that and finish a bourbon, that would be awesome.
Yeah, it does sound cool.
I mean, basically, that's what Shane did with that Obtainium, is he put it in KBBS barrels and let it finish in those barrels. And man, it is delicious. So we are after 7 o'clock. I am going to end this thing.
Okay, I have to go medicate my dog.
Yeah, you do that. And then
you're going back.
Yeah, you're going to trickle back over.
Yeah.
And then we will have some beer on that other one. I got a blood orange. It's called the Big O.
Oh, that sounds good.
And then one of them is supposed to be a spring something. I can't remember what it was, but we'll check it out when you get back.
Okay.
But we'll do that blood orange first.
See you in a bit, everybody.
All right. And it's posted already, and I'm going to post the link in the other stream once I crank it up, and I'm going to pin it to the top. Anybody that wants to join the after party, it's the what did I call that after party? It's the Wonder Horse after
Wonder
party.
Horse, yeah.
Wonder Horse after party. All right, guys, we'll see you over there hopefully.
See you later.
And